Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist, brought to you by the team at One Pitch. Are you looking for a more efficient way to find and pitch the right journalists? Head to our website at onepitch.co to learn more. Our guest on today's episode of Coffee with a Journalist is Anya Meyerowitz, freelance editor and journalist. During the episode, Anya highlights what subject lines PR professionals should avoid, her interest in meeting publicists in person, but not after hours, and the process as a freelancer to make a pitch work for the current news cycle.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with a Journalist. I'm Beck Bamberger, a publicist, and we do this show to help journalists and publicists, mostly publicists, learn better about how to work with reporters, writers, editors, freelancers, all the great people that make the media world go round, because we frankly need to all work together to make this thing happen, called wonderful free media in this world. So with us today, coming all the way from London, it is cloudy, but it is okay, is freelance editor and journalist Anya Meyerowitz. Thank you for being here. And thanks for, hopping on here.
Thank you so much for having me. I've listened to lots of episodes of the podcast and I always find it fascinating. So thank you for having me on.
And I love that you told me that you've messaged a few people that have been on and been like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that on the show.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because I see that the whole purpose of this is bridging that gap, and there does need to be a bridge and many more bridges between journalists and editors and, all the people you mentioned and PRs and publicists. And there needs to be honesty in that bridge. But I think sort of some of the guests that you've had on have said it much more kind of boldly than perhaps I might. And it's brilliant. And I have a huge respect for it. And I was really in awe of those people. And I sent them a message saying, I totally agree, but I can't believe you sort of said it so off the cuff.
People have been frank. People have been frank on here, which I completely welcome and endorse. So with that, could you, Anya, just give us an overview of all the outlets you're covering? Because it's Glamour, it's Condé Nast Traveler, it's many things. Tell us more.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I would say it's a constant kind of conveyor belt, smorgasbord of publications. I've been a journalist and editor for 13 years. And so sometimes there are publications that I write for more frequently than others. But a range of the publications that I have written for, the couple that you mentioned, Tatler, The Independent, Red Magazine, Harper's Bazaar, The Evening Standard, The Sunday Times. So a whole kind of range of women's glossies, but also newspapers, and also lots, my real focus is in the digital space.
Mm-hmm. And you also help publicists better understand how to pitch. Is that right? Am I making that up?
No, you're totally not making that up. About 6 years ago, because I would get sometimes emails from PR saying, we've just got some questions. And I didn't have time to answer them with my journalist hat on. I've got 5 inboxes, which is quite sickening.
5? Wait. 5? 5? Why 5?
Five inboxes. Because I've got various inboxes that are attached to the publishing houses that I write for frequently, and then one for travel and one for general journalism, and then one for my PR coaching. And so sort of seems that would help me keep everything really in line, actually, to divide it out over 5. But actually it's kind of just chaos across the entire lot.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know you've had some people on here that are inbox 0 and have really neat folders, and I have a system similar to my wardrobe system, which is more sort of organized chaos. I know where everything is, but if you came to my inbox, it would just look like chaos.
Oh, okay. So it's chaos in there.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that chaos, though. So especially when you have then the 5. I've never heard someone say that, by the way, on here. They've got the multiple inboxes. So how do you exist with this? Or you don't? I don't know.
How do I make it work for me?
Yeah.
So
every day you're like, okay, I got to hit every inbox. Like I got to hit every inbox.
Yeah. So
I got to get it to 0.
No, I never get it to 0. I gave up getting it to 0 because I felt for me, it was a bit of a red herring. And I was spending a lot of time trying to work out where to put this person, how to reply to this person. Should I reply to this person? Where does this go? How can I use this? And actually, it wasn't the best use of my time. And so now what I do is I will immediately delete something that just isn't for me and will likely never be for me.
Boom,
I
so
star things from experts. And I'll keep those in a folder, and I will go through once a week and sort of move those over and check that I've got all of those in a folder, so that when I'm looking for sources or experts to comment or whatever it might be, I can check there first. And then I try and get back to either PRs that I have a good relationship with, or that I want to work with on whatever the pitch was that they'd sent over, or that I want to start a conversation with because perhaps they represent a brilliant expert or a brilliant brand, but the angle they sent over wasn't quite for me. Yeah, so it sort of works a little bit like that. There is quite a lot of admin that comes with it, moving people from one inbox to the other. So thanks for emailing. Actually, the email address you want is this one, and trying to get people kind of aligned with the right inbox.
Mm-hmm.
It goes more smoothly sometimes than others, but I'm used to it. I've sort of had a handful of inboxes for many years. So
yes. Okay. So yeah, you're masterful now at this level. Okay. You did say that you had some subject lines that stood out to you. Yes.
Yeah. So
that you want to share here. Yeah.
So I know people, past guests have kind of shared the subject lines that they get that they are less than impressed with.
Yeah, very much so.
And so those were the ones that I'd kind of picked out, and then I'm happy to talk about the ones that I love. So a couple that kind of stood out, and I was going through my inbox having a look the other day. And so the first one is people that just send something that says my clients or client update, and then either a list of their clients just by name.
And a letter.
Nothing. No, it does nothing. And also it cuts off after the first client. I don't know if your clients are in the wellness space, in the travel space, in the, relationship.
So wait a second though. So you're getting client update and then you just get a list of clients. Nothing. Like links? Do they get links?
So in the body of the email, not always actually, but I will just get, I just wanted to refresh you on who my clients are, which isn't necessarily unhelpful, but it is unhelpful if your subject line just says my clients. And very often the people sending those emails I don't have a pre-existing, or at least not a particularly strong pre-existing relationship with. So when you say I don't know who what
are we talking about? Yeah.
So it doesn't mean anything to me, and it seems to come into my inbox quite often. And I always wonder with things that, with subject lines, and particularly bad subject lines that kind of flow in quite often, I think they must be working somewhere for somebody, otherwise they wouldn't send them in. But I've had lots of conversations with colleagues over the years, and they don't seem to be working with them either. But I'm sure somewhere in some space they're being picked up. Otherwise, I'm sure they would.
But are they? This is I almost thinking I need to have Publicists on here as like a reversed one to be like, tell me how that horrible pitch, sorry, did it work ever? Or did you just send it because the boss or whomever was like, hey, you have to send out 57 pitches. I don't care to who. Like, what are we doing here?
Or a client. Sometimes I can see that there's...
a client. I need to see the list. Did you send the list? Did you send it's like, well, no.
I really feel for PRs on that. I know. I can always feel when there's an urgency, and oftentimes as well from junior PRs.
Yes, I know.
I feel for them.
Oh, God. Okay. Anya, now, especially with you, you're in London, as we mentioned. Are there any ways Publicists can make relationships with you that you find helpful? Or is it, no, just send me good pitches. Bye-bye.
So I really, really love meeting PRs. At the moment, I've had a couple of months where I've kind of returned from mat leave, and I don't have full-time childcare for my daughter at the moment. But from mid-September, when I do, I am really trying to book all of those coffee meets or breakfast or brunch or whatever it is, book them in for then going forward, because I really, really love just having that face-to-face conversation, and particularly because we're not in an office as much as we used to be, and especially me as a freelancer, but also just because so many interesting conversations happen around, yes, their clients, but also who they are, what they think of, a client and industry, and, building that relationship that we talk about being so important in the media industry and between journalists and PR. So I really love doing that. I don't love going for meeting PRs for kind of after work drinks or dinner, or, that's not really my bag, but certainly breakfast, brunch, coffee, amazing. I'm always up for that.
Okay. If you're swinging into London, ladies, or Publicists, hit her up. Coffee brunch. Okay. This is good. Now, you, Anya, when we've had freelancers on here, editors, writers, etc., there's another layer here, which is you got to pitch your stories that you want to write, or perhaps maybe even with editing and so forth. So could you tell us a little bit about the process of you get a pitch from a publicist, you like it, now where does it go?
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by One Pitch. Are you curious to learn about the unique ways One Pitch helps brands engage with the right journalists? Head to onepitch.co and create your own custom media list in 5 minutes or less. Now back to today's episode.
So I think I'm a bit of a confusing one, I think, for lots of PRs, because I'm very often in-house. But also I pitch in as kind of with more of a freelance hat on as well. So sometimes PR speaks to me and I'm, covering a web director role or a digital editor role, and I'm sitting, in that one publication. And sometimes, as you say, it's that I'm taking that pitch and then reformatting it and then sending it on to an editor from home. So I guess the process for me, if I'm talking about, fully freelance, pitching into sort of various outlets, would be that I would look at a pitch, see what kind of angle they're suggesting. I always look for what is the hook here, what makes this relevant now. Sometimes I get pitches that are really interesting, but I just can't find a way to make it relevant to the moment. And it's actually something that I don't love about journalism. I think we're kind of very focused on news hooks, and actually sometimes we just want to read about something or talk about something or listen to something because it's just interesting, not necessarily a celebrity said it or a study said, but that generally tends to be a lot of how the media works. You'll know firsthand. And so I always look to see what the news hook is. If I think it's a particularly strong pitch, I will sit down and do some research on the news hook myself. Or I really love it when people tell me the search value of something. So, for example, I once got a pitch about barn conversions. Barn conversions don't really feature on my radar. I'm not particularly interested in them. I've never spent much time thinking about barn conversions, but because the person that pitched this told me that there had been a 300% increase in Google searches for barn conversions.
Bond conversions, like the financial bonds?
No, barn as in on a farm.
Oh, barn. Oh.
Barn, totally different thing. Barn conversions. Oh. I then wrote a piece for Condé Nast Traveler, for Tatler, and for the Telegraph at different angles. And that was because of that high value piece of information they gave me about search volume, which showed me that there was a readership there. And that was really a powerful hook then for my editors.
Yes. Okay. So using the search volume as an interesting way.
And I think it's really, but obviously that this works mainly for digital, although arguably if it's being searched for, there's obviously going to be an offline appetite for it as well. But whenever I speak to PRs, whenever I coach PRs, whenever I give workshops for PRs, I always talk about it as this really underused resource. And most people will have access to those kind of SEO tools. And if not, you can sign up to one for free where you get 10 searches a day. That's more than enough. But it's so valuable, especially when publishing houses and publications are being measured on kind of SEO and organic traffic and that kind of thing. So I don't really understand why more PRs don't do it.
Yeah, that's kind of an unlock. And I haven't had someone here on this show, to my knowledge, mention that, showcase that. Like, imagine you put in your pitch, hey, did you know, Anya, the search for barn conversions is up 272% on Google as of the last 30 days. This is a hot trending topic. Don't you want to write about it? And that, by the way, that's so easy to find.
Yeah, exactly. It's really easy to find. And it just gives a bit of a gold dusting to whatever it is you're sending. And, even if you sent me a pitch about barn conversions, even if you told me something that would be really interesting to people that care about barn conversions, I wouldn't really know. So giving me a piece of information that does resonate with me to show me that there is an appetite out there, even if I don't understand, the ins and outs of it, which, by the way, I do now. I've written 3 pieces on it and then updated those pieces continuously. It's just that nudge over the line that a pitch needs sometimes.
Anya, we don't have much more time because we kind of farted around on this thing. And then we were chatting about weather in London and all this stuff. So I want to get into our rapid fire questions, if that's okay. And then we can wrap it up. Okay. Video or phone interview?
Phone.
Ooh, that's trending, by the way. More phones. Bullet points or paragraphs in pitches?
Paragraphs.
Paragraphs. Also an unusual answer. Short or long pitches?
Short.
Images attached or a Dropbox zip file?
Oh, images attached. I can't spend hours going through
No, seriously, I cannot either. Email, well, we know you got the inboxes, or a DM of some sort. Do you want any DMs for a pitch?
You know what? I actually don't mind. I don't mind
either. Interesting. Okay. One follow-up or multiple?
It depends. Sorry, that's a bit of a cop-out.
That's okay. Direct or creative subject lines?
Direct.
Time you usually read pitches?
I normally read pitches sort of between 7 and 9 when I'm, sitting down, getting my coffee, coming back
London
to my desk.
time.
Yeah, London time, where there's not so many sort of people needing my time. And then I probably check again sort of just after my lunch break, sort of like 1, 2 p.m.
And when you say check, you mean you check all 5 boxes, or what do you do? Because you have 5.
Yeah, because I have 5. So if I'm working in-house, I will check the relevant inbox there because I'm not going to be sending pictures out elsewhere. But I will in the morning check across all 5 because obviously there are going to be things that cross over that are relevant to whatever the publication is that I'm in-house for. But generally on any day-to-day where I'm not in-house, I will, check across all 5.
Amazing. Much respect, Anya. Not managing 1 inbox, but 5. Wow. Thank you so much for being on here. Oh, my one last thing, though, is there anything we can do to promote, celebrate, tout, give you a little PR, shout out, whatever?
Yeah, so I always am sort of pointing people towards my PR coaching stuff. So you can find me on Instagram for that, which is Anya PR Coach, or my website, which is anyameyerowitz.co.uk.
Okay, everybody. Anya Meyerowitz, thank you so much for being on here all the way from London. It's digital though, so it doesn't really count, but still, thank you again for being on. So good.
Thanks so much, Beck.
Send her your pitches in one of her 5 inboxes. That is wild. I'm not going to forget that. Oh man, Anya, thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's Coffee with the Journalist episode with Anya Meyerowitz, freelance editor and journalist. For more exclusive insights about the journalists on this podcast, subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter at onepitch.co/podcast. We'll see you next week, but until then, start great stories.